But a new report just released by JD Power says they're finding a significant number of complaints when it comes to new cars.
Dealerships are drowning with unsold vehicles, from compact crossovers to luxury sedans, and they're taking drastic measures to survive. Discounts of up to 80%, 0% financing, and even cashback offers so steep they almost seem too good to be true. What's going on? Dealers are dumping cars at unprecedented rates to clear their lots, and the reasons behind this inventory crisis may shock you. Once iconic models like the Nissan Rogue, Hyundai Tucson, and BMW 5 Series are being left behind, abandoned by buyers who once clamored for them. Is it because of changing tastes, rising interest rates, or stiff competition? Or are there deeper issues at play? Design flaws, pricing missteps, or an overestimation of demand? And should you take advantage of these insane discounts, or is there more to it? How does this impact you? This isn't just a dealer problem, it's your opportunity. Whether you're hunting for a deal or curious about what this says about the car market, these unsold vehicles represent a seismic shift in the industry. What's happening to your favorite models? And could these trends shape the future of how cars are bought and sold? Let's uncover the truth behind these massive discounts and what they mean for everyone in the market. What's happening? This car inventory crisis showed that dealers across the country are facing a problem they never imagined would reach this scale: an oversupply of vehicles sitting unsold on their lots. From once popular compact SUVs to high-end luxury sedans and even reliable family minivans, cars that were expected to be hits are now gathering dust. While this might sound like a dream for buyers, it's a nightmare for the dealerships stuck with the bloated inventory. To clear their lots, dealers are offering jaw-dropping discounts, some even as high as 80% off. It's a desperate move to get these vehicles off their hands and make room for new models. But what caused this massive oversupply in the first place? The reasons behind this crisis are multifaceted. At the heart of it, there's a combination of factors contributing to the problem: rising interest rates, changing consumer preferences, and fierce competition in every vehicle segment. Let's dive into these factors and uncover why models that once dominated the market are now unwanted relics, with dealerships scrambling to push them out the door. Why are these cars struggling to sell? It's hard to ignore the simple fact that consumer preferences are evolving, and automakers, like many industries, are struggling to keep up. The automotive market is becoming increasingly competitive, and vehicles that were once on everyone's radar are now facing a fierce battle to stand out. What happened to these cars? How did they go from bestsellers to dusty leftovers on dealer lots? Take the Nissan Rogue, for example. A once best-selling compact SUV, the Rogue was loved by families for its blend of reliability and affordability, but now over 100,000 unsold 2024 Rogues are lingering in dealerships, a troubling sight for Nissan and its dealers. What went wrong? In short, the compact SUV market has become saturated, with new entrants offering more appealing features, designs, and pricing. The Rogue, once a leader, now seems outdated. Nissan made a high-risk move by overproducing, expecting the Rogue to continue its dominant streak. However, factors like rising gas prices, increased interest rates, and the SUV market's increasing competition have left buyers turning elsewhere. As one frustrated dealer explained, the Rogue used to be an easy sell, but now I can't even give them away. But it's not just Nissan that's feeling the heat. Other models like the Hyundai Tucson and even full-size trucks like the Ram 1500 are also experiencing surprising surpluses. This isn't just about one brand or model, it's a broader trend impacting the entire auto industry. What's behind the oversupply? So what's causing this oversupply? While there are a variety of contributing factors, the main culprits are overproduction, shifting market dynamics, and rising costs. Overproduction: manufacturers, eager to meet the growing demand for cars, ramped up production levels. In a market where everyone was predicting continued growth, automakers made the gamble that demand would stay high. Unfortunately, they miscalculated. Rising interest rates have made it harder for consumers to afford new vehicles, and many buyers are choosing to keep their old cars longer or opt for used cars, further driving down demand for new models. Shifting preferences. The way consumers view vehicles is changing. There's a significant shift from traditional sedans and compact cars toward larger vehicles, especially SUVs and trucks. People want more space, more technology, and better utility. As compact crossovers, minivans, and even mid-sized sedans lose their appeal, models that were once at the forefront of the market are now falling out of favor. Rising costs. Another big factor is the rise in vehicle prices. Higher production costs due to supply chain disruptions, combined with inflationary pressures, have led automakers to hike up their prices. prices. In turn, this makes it harder for budget-conscious consumers to commit to purchasing these cars. As a result, inventory builds up, and dealerships are left with unsold vehicles that have to be moved quickly. What does this mean for dealers? For dealerships, this oversupply isn't just an inconvenience, it's a full-blown crisis. Car lots that once turned over inventory quickly are now filled with unsold models, and dealers are feeling the pressure to clear space. Discounts and incentives have become the go-to solutions, but they come at a cost. One of the biggest issues is the financial strain on dealerships. Unsold vehicles mean stagnant cash flow, and the longer cars sit on lots, the more money dealers lose. With interest rates rising, financing options have become less appealing to customers, further slowing sales. To survive, dealerships are offering massive price cuts, discounts up to 80% on certain models. While this is great for buyers looking to get a deal, it's taking a massive toll on dealership profits. In some cases, dealers are being forced to accept deals that are barely profitable just to move inventory. We used to sell these vehicles instantly. Now I have rows of them just sitting here, collecting dust, one dealer shared. This oversupply issue is affecting everyone in the dealership chain, from salespeople struggling to hit their targets to service departments swamped with customers trying to offload outdated models. How does this affect you, the consumer? Now, this might sound like a bad situation for dealerships, but for you, the consumer, it could be an incredible opportunity. If you're in the market for a new vehicle, this inventory crisis means there are deals like never before. From massive rebates to 0% financing, you can score a car at a price you've never seen before. For buyers who are flexible and willing to explore what's available, the deals could be too good to pass up. But it's not just about price cuts. The oversupply also reveals deeper shifts in the auto market. It's no longer just about buying a car based on the traditional standards of reliability and features. Now, consumers are increasingly prioritizing things like affordability, sustainability, and convenience. The automotive industry is evolving to meet these needs, and as buyers push for better deals and more options, dealers are being forced to offer incentives that drive the market forward. However, it's essential to keep in mind that these discounts could reflect deeper issues with the cars themselves. Are these models still worth buying, or are the price cuts merely a way to offload cars that might soon be outdated? While these deals are tempting, it's crucial to consider the long-term value, resale potential, and fit for your needs before pulling the trigger. The reasons behind the oversupply crisis. The inventory crisis plaguing dealerships isn't just a random blip on the radar. It's the result of a perfect storm of factors converging at once. As we saw in part 1, this oversupply is forcing dealerships to offer massive discounts and incentives to move unsold vehicles. But why are certain car models, once so popular, now sitting unsold for months on end? To understand this, we need to dive deeper into the key reasons driving this crisis: overproduction, shifting consumer preferences, rising costs, and changing financing landscapes. Overproduction, the gamble that backfired. One of the biggest culprits behind the oversupply is overproduction. In the rush to meet the growing demand for new cars, automakers ramped up production, but they underestimated the cooling of the market and the economic pressures that would affect buyers. Manufacturers, eager to capture sales, made the bold decision to produce large quantities of vehicles, particularly in popular segments like SUVs and trucks. But as demand slowed, due to a combination of rising interest rates and inflation, dealerships were left holding the bag with thousands of unsold units. The auto industry had already been struggling with supply chain issues, so manufacturers assumed that the vehicle shortages that dominated the previous years would continue, and the demand for cars would remain high. They produced in excess, hoping that people would continue to buy at the same rate. But as the economy tightened, fewer buyers were willing to commit to purchasing new cars at higher prices. In some cases, manufacturers even focused too much on quantity over quality, pushing models that weren't ready for the market, hoping that sheer volume would make up for shortcomings in design, features, and reliability. This gamble backfired, leading to an oversupply of vehicles that no one was buying, leaving dealerships to offload them at discounted prices. Shifting consumer preferences, the rise of SUVs and trucks. While overproduction is a major factor, shifting consumer preferences have played a significant role in the oversupply crisis. For years, the car market was dominated by sedans and compact crossovers, but in recent years, there's been a dramatic shift towards larger vehicles, specifically SUVs and trucks. These vehicles offer more space, versatility, and often better performance, which appeals to a wider range of buyers. Consumers are now gravitating toward vehicles that suit their lifestyles, whether that means a larger family vehicle versatile, or a truck for work or adventure. The compact sedan, once a symbol of practicality, is now struggling to keep up with the demand for more versatile and capable vehicles. This has led to the downfall of models like the Chevrolet Malibu, Toyota Avalon, and Chrysler Pacifica, which are all sitting on dealership lots unsold, despite once being staple choices for car buyers. While the shift to SUVs and trucks makes sense given the added space and utility they provide, it has left automakers with a backlog of cars that no longer match what today's buyers want. In fact, a lot of families that once relied on minivans like the Pacifica are now opting for larger SUVs that offer similar benefits, without the soccer mom stigma that comes with minivans. The issue isn't just confined to sedans or minivans. Even compact SUVs like the Nissan Rogue and Hyundai Tucson are feeling the heat as new models and competitors continue to flood the market. These once popular cars are finding themselves in a crowded marketplace, and they're being left behind by newer, more appealing options. Rising costs, pricing out consumers. Another key driver of the oversupply crisis is rising costs, both for car manufacturers and consumers. The price of manufacturing vehicles has risen dramatically in recent years due to inflation, higher raw material costs, and global supply chain disruptions. As a result, automakers have been forced to raise prices, making it increasingly difficult for buyers to justify purchasing new cars. Interest rates have also played a significant role in pricing out potential buyers. With the Federal Reserve raising interest rates to combat inflation, car loans have become more expensive. As a result, buyers are feeling the pinch and are less willing to make large purchases, especially when they're faced with a higher monthly payment and rising fuel costs. For many consumers, these price hikes have made them rethink their purchasing decisions. Budget-conscious buyers are opting for used cars, choosing more affordable models, or delaying purchases altogether. This has left dealers with large quantities of unsold vehicles that they now need to offload before they lose even more value. And to make matters worse, some buyers have been holding off on car purchases, waiting for the market to stabilize or for prices to come down. As a result, manufacturers and dealerships have been stuck with vehicles that don't move, leading to the bloated inventories we see today. Financing struggles, the decline of easy credit. The financing landscape is also changing, and that's adding to the oversupply issue. In the past, low interest rates and easy credit made it easier for consumers to purchase new cars. But with interest rates rising, many buyers are now having a harder time securing financing that fits their budgets. Car loans that were once easy to obtain are now more expensive, and some buyers simply aren't able to afford the higher payments that come with them. As a result, dealerships are struggling to sell cars as the financing options they once relied on are no longer as attractive to consumers. Buyers are being forced to reconsider their car choices, opting for lower-priced vehicles or choosing to wait until the market stabilizes. In the face of this, dealerships are increasingly turning to aggressive discounts and financing deals to try and move their inventory. But these discounts aren't always enough to make up for the changing financial landscape. Car manufacturers are offering 0% financing or cashback incentives, but that can only go so far when buyers are stretched thin by rising interest rates and inflation. As dealerships continue to lower prices to move unsold stock, their profit margins are shrinking, and the long-term effects could be damaging. What this means for buyers. For consumers, this crisis presents a unique opportunity. With dealerships desperate to clear their lots, buyers can take advantage of some of the best deals in years. From steep discounts to low-interest financing options, the oversupply is translating into massive savings for those in the market for a new car. Whether you're looking for a compact SUV, a full-size truck, or even a luxury sedan, there's a good chance you'll find a vehicle at a price that was previously unheard of. However, while the deals may seem tempting, it's important to approach this with caution. Many of the vehicles sitting unsold have been struggling in the market for a reason, whether it's poor design, high pricing, or changing consumer preferences. Before jumping into a deal, buyers should carefully consider whether the car still meets their needs and offers long-term value. These models may be heavily discounted now, but they could still be harder to sell or trade in down the line. The impact of the oversupply crisis. What's next for dealers and buyers? The car inventory crisis is affecting more than just the immediate sale of vehicles. It's shaping the future of car buying, the survival of dealerships, and the direction the automotive industry will take in the coming years. While buyers are enjoying incredible discounts, the long-term effects for dealerships and manufacturers are much more complex. Let's take a deeper dive into how the oversupply is impacting dealers, buyers, and the broader automotive market. dealerships struggling to adapt. For dealerships, the current oversupply of unsold cars is nothing short of a financial headache. Cars that were once in high demand are now clogging up dealer lots, gathering dust as the market cools. The pressure to move this inventory is immense, and many dealerships are struggling to adapt to the shift in consumer behavior. What was once a thriving business model focused on quick sales and new car excitement is now weighed down by unsold stock and declining foot traffic. For dealers who rely heavily on the turnover of new vehicles, this crisis is hitting them hard. They are being forced to offer steep discounts, which, while great for consumers, significantly reduce the dealership's profit margins. Even though the discounts might help move units, the financial strain of selling vehicles for far less than expected is unsustainable in the long term. In some cases, dealers have to choose between slashing prices and risking their reputation, or waiting for the market to stabilize, hoping that the next model year will see a surge in sales. The impact is being felt not just in the sales department, but also in service and repair departments. With fewer people buying new cars, the volume of customers coming in for maintenance and service is dropping, leaving dealerships with even fewer revenue streams. Many dealers are now reassessing their business models, with some even shifting focus to used car sales or more niche markets, trying to survive in an increasingly competitive and unpredictable landscape. The pressure on automakers to innovate. The inventory crisis isn't just a dealership issue, it's a direct challenge for automakers. Manufacturers are facing a significant mismatch between what they're producing and what the market actually wants. The excess production of certain models has led to a massive backlog of cars, and this has placed an enormous strain on manufacturers who are now working overtime to try and move unsold stock. The question for automakers is how to balance their production with market demand. Automakers like Nissan, Hyundai, and Ram, who have seen oversupply issues in certain segments, are now forced to reassess their production forecasts and adjust their output accordingly. This could mean cutting back on production or altering design plans for future models to better align with consumer needs. At the same time, the oversupply crisis is forcing manufacturers to innovate. The market is shifting rapidly towards electric vehicles, EVs, with more and more consumers turning to sustainable options. However, many automakers are still heavily invested in traditional gas-powered models. As the demand for gas guzzlers declines, manufacturers will need to pivot quickly to ensure their survival. For companies that fail to make the transition to electric vehicles or other innovative technologies, the oversupply crisis could become a symptom of a much larger problem, a market that's moving on without them. What does this mean for consumers? For buyers, the car inventory crisis is a unique opportunity. Right now, vehicles that once commanded high prices are now available at steep discounts, which makes it an ideal time to purchase a new car. With prices slashed by as much as 80%, consumers can find incredible deals on cars that might otherwise have been out of their budget. Whether you're in the market for an SUV, sedan, or truck, now is the time to negotiate. Dealerships are desperate to move their inventory, and buyers who know how to work the system could walk away with a significant bargain. 0% financing options, rebates, and other incentives are making it easier for consumers to drive off the lot with a new car at a price that just a few months ago would have seemed unthinkable. However, while these discounts are tempting, buyers should approach with caution. The current oversupply crisis reflects shifting trends in the car market, and some of the unsold models are struggling due to factors like outdated designs, high pricing, or poor reliability. Just because a car is discounted doesn't necessarily mean it's the right choice. For some models, the deep discounts may be a sign of long-term depreciation or even further quality issues. Consumers should take this opportunity to do their homework, researching the models, checking reviews, and understanding the long-term value of a vehicle before diving into a deal. While discounts are attractive, it's important to remember that a good deal today doesn't always mean a good investment tomorrow. How the crisis is shaping the future of car buying. The oversupply crisis is revealing deeper shifts in how cars are bought and sold, and it's likely that these changes will persist long after the inventory issue is resolved. Traditional car buying methods, where consumers would walk into a dealership, negotiate prices, and drive off with a new vehicle, are already changing. With the increasing use of online car shopping platforms, buyers are less reliant on physical dealerships. In the future, we may see even more drastic shifts. Car manufacturers and dealerships are already experimenting with new ways to get vehicles into buyers' hands without the traditional dealership experience. Direct-to-consumer sales, where automakers bypass dealerships entirely, are becoming more common, especially in the world of electric vehicles. Companies like Tesla have already popularized this model, and other automakers are likely to follow suit, offering customers more flexibility in how they purchase their cars. In addition, automakers are focusing on expanding their EV offerings to meet growing demand. As consumers become more environmentally conscious, the future of car buying is expected to revolve around sustainable options like electric and hybrid vehicles. The inventory crisis may eventually pass, but the shift toward electric cars and the move away from traditional dealerships will continue to redefine how we buy cars. A wake-up call for the automotive industry. The oversupply crisis in the car market is more than just a temporary problem. It's a wake-up call for the entire industry. Automakers and dealerships alike are realizing that the car market is no longer what it used to be. Consumer preferences are changing, and the demand for certain types of vehicles is evolving at a rapid pace. For dealerships and manufacturers that can't keep up with these shifts, the consequences could be severe. The automotive industry is at a crossroads, and the decisions made in response to this oversupply will shape the future of car buying. Whether it's adapting to new consumer preferences, embracing electric vehicles, or rethinking the traditional dealership model, the industry must evolve or risk being left behind. As for consumers, this crisis presents an unprecedented opportunity. With massive discounts and financing options, now is a great time to buy a new vehicle, if you know where to look and what to watch out for. For those who are willing to do their research and make informed decisions, the oversupply crisis could be the deal of a lifetime. The rise of online car buying and electric vehicles. The future of car buying is changing rapidly, and the oversupply crisis is accelerating these shifts. One of the biggest changes is the rise of online car buying platforms. Consumers are increasingly shopping for cars online, bypassing the traditional dealership experience. Companies like Carvana and Vroom have shown that it's possible to browse, compare, and purchase vehicles from the comfort of your home. More dealerships and automakers are now offering online options for browsing inventories, negotiating prices, and even arranging home delivery. This digital shift means that consumers expect a more seamless, transparent, and efficient car buying process. At the same time, the automotive industry is witnessing the rise of electric vehicles, EVs. As more people turn to sustainable transportation, the demand for electric cars is growing. While companies like Tesla are leading the charge, traditional automakers are following suit, increasing their focus on EV production. Consumers are looking for more eco-friendly options, and automakers will need to ramp up their electric vehicle offerings to meet this demand. The future of car buying will likely revolve around EVs as they become the norm, not the exception. Financing shifts and changing consumer preferences. Along with the shift to digital and electric cars, financing options are also evolving. With rising interest rates and inflation, traditional car loans are becoming more expensive and less attractive. As a result, subscription models are gaining traction, allowing consumers to pay for the use of a car rather than outright ownership. This model offers flexibility, making it easier for buyers to switch cars as their needs change without the long-term commitment. Leasing options will also become more flexible, with dealers offering lower down payments, deferred payments, and flexible terms to make cars more affordable. These shifts in financing will be crucial as consumers seek more affordable options in an uncertain economy. At the same time, consumer preferences are shifting. People are increasingly looking for cars that are sustainable, tech-savvy, and customizable. The days of simply offering a reliable car are over. Today's buyers want vehicles that match their values and lifestyles, whether that's through eco-friendly materials or advanced technology. Automakers will need to cater to this demand for personalization, providing cars that offer not just practicality, but also customization in terms of tech, design, and features. But what's your take on all of this? Let's talk about it in the comments.